Under the light of a new moon, the clouds were as thin as gauze. The dirt road leading into the forest was so quiet that the sound of dry leaves sounded like bones scraping against each other. Alex walked ahead, the flashlight hanging from his backpack swaying, cutting a thin line of light through the fog. Maya followed closely behind, her hands cold, each step like she had to be pulled out of the mud. Leo walked behind, tripod and camera bag slung over his shoulder, his eyes deep but alert, scanning the surroundings like a sentry, silently counting his breaths to keep calm. They had read the worn-out diary, an anonymous priest written in blotchy reddish-brown ink about a village forgotten because of its debt to shadows. Maya stopped abruptly, grabbing Alex's sleeve. Do you feel it? Like someone hungry? Alex laughed, reassuringly in a light voice.
I don't know, guys. I'm getting a really bad feeling
Perfect
about
for a
this.
Halloween video. He raised the camera, panning around. Fog, trees, darkness. The lens caught a few specks of dust that shone like fireflies, or other things, small and staring back. Then the village appeared without warning, without a single light, without a puff of smoke. Only the air was heavy as a stone pressing on the chest. In front of the village gate, a rickety sign hung by a rusty string. Alex brought the flashlight closer. Burned black words were etched into the wood. The unharvested shadows will find the curious. Maya took a step back. Alex smiled again, but his eyes were trembling. He pushed the gate open. The hinges made a long, screeching sound, like someone sucking in a breath to contain the pain. Inside, the village streets were filled with mud and leaves. The doors were half open, like cave entrances. Alex led the group into the first house, its wooden floors creaking. The musty smell mixed with the smell of burning incense crept into Maya's nose, making her cough slightly. On the table, an overturned earthenware bowl still lay. Alex flipped the bowl over. Below was a black and white photograph, blurry and cracked. A group of people in brown shirts, holding sickles, standing in the middle of a rice field that had been harvested to the stump. Leaving the house, they walked deeper. Every strange sound began to creep around them, light footsteps behind them. But when they turned around, there was only mist, sighs from the abandoned well, whispers mixed in the wind, like many voices overlapping. Not harvested yet. Alex leaned into each door, panting with hunting instinct. Blurred figures began to touch the edges of the frame, just the corners of eyes. But Maya could clearly see a pair of eyes red as burning coals peering through. She grabbed Alex's hand so hard it hurt. Alex, stop. It's a trap. Alex stubbornly. I just need a few more shots. Suddenly, a window banged as if someone had crashed into it. All three spun. Behind the cracked glass, a face appeared for a moment. Hollow, eyes two dark red holes, mouth open but making no sound, then suddenly gone. Alex dropped the camera to the floor, the indicator light still flashing. They gathered their things and ran to the middle of the village. There, a small square led into many crisscrossing alleys. Houses on both sides changed positions. Windows seemed to turn to watch them. Leo counted his steps, but the count kept slipping away, as if someone had broken the numbers in his head. A hand reached out from the void and grabbed Leo's wrist. Leo jerked, jumped back, the other hand flailing reflexively, leaving 5 long purple marks on his skin, like the marks of fingers without flesh. They were lost in a corridor, in the village. Maya closed her eyes, took a deep breath, trying to find a beat other than her own. and she heard it. Under her feet, in the ground, something moving. Like many hands crawling, searching for calves, ankles. "Don't stand still," Maya whispered. "They can pull if we stand still." They continued walking, and then the corridor suddenly opened in front of a small church, the bell tower broken in half, the clock face frozen at 3:13. Alex pushed the door. The smell of burnt incense came like a wave. On the altar, portraits were pasted on top of each other. Peasant faces, dark eyes, gentle but deep down were tired and resentful. Some of the photos were torn, revealing behind them were old words. Called to pay rice tax, didn't return. Strange disease after harvest. Missing in the well. The paper shook even though there was no wind. A dry bell rang from the broken tower, not knowing who had rung it. The candles in the church flickered, then flared up a little before going out. Maya held her head. "They're coming!" Leo grabbed Alex's shoulder. "Go, now!" But the crescent moon suddenly rushed out from behind the clouds, casting silver light on the broken window. And as the moonlight touched the church floor, from the dark corners, figures began to step out. A figure approached Alex, reaching out to touch his collar. He was lifted, his feet kicking into the air, a scream stuck in his throat as if swallowed by the thick air. The smell of corpses and incense smoke mixed with the smell of burning straw lingered around. Alex was mumbling, his hands flailing. Leo let out a low growl, lunged forward, grabbed Alex's stomach, and pulled him back. He felt those dry, scratched fingers dig into Alex's skin like hooks. He pulled hard. Alex's body fell into Leo's hands like a sandbag, both of them rolling down the church steps. Maya, still holding her head, suddenly opened her eyes, grabbed the metal bracelet, put it on Alex's wrist, her hands trembling. "Alex, the number, the document in the diary." Alex gasped. He rummaged through his backpack and pulled out a piece of paper marked with a marker. On it, under the phrase, "Do not call their names," there was a short, hastily written and ugly verse. "The shadow demands its share. The person returns the favor. The black fire shines, the boundary opens. When the moon is a scythe, place the ring between the shadow and the bone. When the..." Maya recited in a whisper. She placed the Jiamchio ring in the space between the three people and the shadows. The ring did not touch the ground. It hung there, as if tied to something invisible. A very soft crack, like a tight string being cut. A few shadows dissolved like smoke. Only their red eyes fell like upside-down fireflies, extinguished in the air. The wall cracked open like a mouth. Portraits pasted on the wall fell out, flying around in the wind that came from nowhere. Breathing, the sound of wood groaning, the sound of people screaming from the ground. The passages outside, seen through the windows, seemed to change places, retreating when someone tried to step forward, sliding like the surface of water. "Not long enough. Just hold them. A little," Maya said, her eyes not leaving the circle. Leo lifted Alex up. "Which way?" Maya closed her eyes, feeling. Everything was like a moving maze, but there was a rhythm. The rhythm of the forest. She opened her eyes, pointing towards the side door of the church. They rushed out. The circle of judgment drifted along, following Alex like a black bird. Shadows spread out from both sides of the alley. A dry hand jumped up from the ground, grabbed Alex's ankle. He almost fell. Leo bent down and hit hard. The hand shattered into cold ash. "Don't stand still." Maya, reminded. The shadows rushed forward, not slow this time. The circle of judgment shook, emitting a sound like metal rubbing against stone. Maya read the awkward words again, her voice starting to break. The largest shadow, probably the shadow of the old village chief from years ago, stretched out, its eyes red like two pieces of hot iron. It touched the edge of the circle and cried out. It took a step back, just one, but enough for the three of them to break free of the encirclement, dash through the broken fence, trample on rotting leaves, and breathe in the forest air. Leo ran ahead, then Alex, Maya. Behind them, the village stretched out, trying to hold them back with the alleys sliding under their feet. The wind came. The mist in the village was whipped back like a curtain. The shadows at the edges couldn't get through, their red eyes burning, then fading like dying embers. A long, long sigh, as if the whole village were exhaling. They didn't stop until they were deep in the forest. Leo plopped down, his back against the tree trunk. His hands were shaking, but his eyes were still alert. Alex put the camera on his lap, the light still flashing. I got it, he said, unsure. Maya hugged her knees, put her chin on them, inhaled the smell of damp leaves like medicine. We're out, she whispered. Temporarily. A week later, on Halloween night, Alex sat in his rented room, the window ajar, the sound of cars in the distance like a hazy river. He turned on the camera, reviewed the footage. In the frame, the fog shimmered beautifully like an effect. The door closed by itself, the window slammed shut, the hallway seemed to stretch out. Everything was there. The circle of judgment appeared in a few frames, black like a hole in the image. There was a very light knock on the door. He looked up. No one. In the silence, a very soft sigh passed by, as if coming from the corner of the wall. Alex stood up, walked to the window, pulled the curtains. Outside on the street, people were laughing, dressing up. Cheap witch and vampire masks danced under the neon lights. When he pulled the curtains back, in the reflection on the glass, Alex saw that behind him there was not only his shadow, there was also a thin, flat, long black streak, like a scythe leaning against the corner of the room. He turned around. The corner of the room was empty. Alex thought to himself, stress. The phone vibrated. A message from Maya. Are you listening tonight? Alex was about to reply, listen to what, when he heard it. In the sound of the wind seeping through the crack of the door, an old sound crept into the room. Tired but persistent. Not harvested yet. Leo texted the group, don't be alone. Lock the door. Alex looked up at the door lock. It was still locked. Then he looked at the floor. There were a few small black dust particles, like ash, lying in a semicircle at the threshold. The circle of the orb had fallen back at the edge of the forest that night. But here, something had left the mark of another circle. Alex opened the cupboard, looked for the priest's diary. On the last page, under the red-brown ink, there was a new line. The ink still wet, the smell of burnt incense lingering. They can't harvest the body. They will wait for the soul. He took a step back. In his mind flashed that red eye. The circle of the guardians may be temporary, but the border is real. He texted back, come to my place tonight. Stay. Stay. Maya replied with a moon icon. Leo replied, I brought the rope. Alex smiled, half believing. What was the rope for? But then he remembered the moment they'd grabbed each other in the church. Perhaps that very bond was the only thing the shadow couldn't cut. Outside the window, Halloween bustled and then faded. Inside, 3 people sat side by side, candles placed around them, salt sprinkled on the threshold in a circle toward the window. "If they need a way out, give them a way out, not in," Maya whispered. Leo tied the rope around the 3 people's wrists, linking them like another circle, made of material so ordinary that even ghosts despised it. But ordinary is hard to break. Near midnight, when the new moon pierced the clouds once more, the whisper came again, clearer, as if someone was standing close to their ear. "Not harvested yet." Alex took a deep breath. "We are not your fields. You have been taken. We do not pay with us. If necessary, we will tell. We will name what happened." Maya nodded, eyes closed as if listening. Leo gently tightened the rope. The whisper receded a little, like an old man turning away, disappointed and relieved. The candlelight swayed, then stopped. At the doorway, the half-circle of black ash faded, giving way to the yellow dust particles of the street. They fell asleep as the sky neared dawn. In his dream, Alex saw that field again. The harvesters bowed their heads, the horizon blurred like a stain. But this time, when he looked up, at the edge of the field was a small black line, thin as a thread, the forest. Many years later, every Halloween season, in university clubs or video channels, the story of the Golden Eye. It was rumored that every 100 years, the village opened its doors to harvest souls. Some people said they saw flashlights swaying in the mist. Some heard whispers like thin knives cutting through the wind. Alex, Maya, Leo did not return. They promised each other, if one day they needed to, they would go together and only together. They still heard the very light sighs in the windy night, like endless memories. But somewhere deep in the forest, the village still lay there. The houses changing places like board chess pieces. The cracked statue looked down at the dry hands crawling across the brick floor. The crescent moon occasionally turned into a scythe, licking the bright line on the warning board in front of the gate. The unharvested shadows will find the curious. And it seemed, somewhere in the shadows, a black circle still hovered, waiting for the right person to place it between the shadow and the bone. Because the border only exists when someone stands there to say, "Enough." A deserted country road winds through dense fog. Tall trees loom overhead. A single car headlights cut through the darkness. Inside the car, Jason Harper driving and Emily Harper sitting in the passenger seat. "Jason, are you sure this is the right place?" The realtor said it's just down this road. The house is supposed to be abandoned for years, perfect for renovations. The car rounds a bend and suddenly the silhouette of an old decaying mansion emerges from the fog. Its windows are dark, some broken vines crawling up the walls. Jason parks the car. They get out. The wind picks up, carrying a faint, whispering voice. Emily shivers. The front door groans as Jason pushes it open. The air inside is cold, stale, and smells faintly of decay. They walk in. Their footsteps echo in the empty halls. Dust swirls around them in the moonlight. A grand staircase leads up to the second floor, its banister warped and rotting. Suddenly, a faint child's laugh echoes from upstairs. Emily freezes. Did you hear that? Emily Enchka Ging. Probably a raccoon or something. They continue exploring. In the dining room, a long table is covered in cobwebs. Chairs are overturned. A silver candelabra lies on the floor, dented. Jason picks it up and shakes it gently. Then the candelabra flies from his hands across the room, smashing into the wall. Jason and Emily stumble back, horrified. A loud creaking sound comes from the staircase. Both look up. A dark shadow moves across the top landing. It disappears. Emily gasps. Dort. Emily unwraps a blanket, trying to warm herself. A sudden knock comes from the window. Both freeze. Who's there? Who's there? Emily startled. Jason slowly approaches the window. Nothing is outside. He sighs in relief. The knock comes again, louder this time. A faint, distorted child's voice whispers, "Go away." Emily clutches Jason's arm. The temperature in the room drops dramatically. Their breath becomes visible. Suddenly, the lights from their flashlights flicker. Shadows stretch unnaturally along the walls. A cold, unseen hand brushes Emily's shoulder. She screams. Jason grabs a nearby chair, swinging it wildly, but hits nothing. The room is empty, yet the presence is undeniable. A low, guttural whisper fills the room. You shouldn't have come. Jason and Emily huddle together, terrified as the first real night of horror begins in Willow Creek. Jason and Emily are huddled on the floor, clutching each other. The cold in the room is unbearable. Their breaths come in short gasps. Shadows twist unnaturally across the walls. Jason grabs his phone, trying to call for help. No signal. He tries again. Still nothing. A soft, dragging sound comes from the hallway outside the room. Something is moving. A door at the end of the hallway creaks open slowly on its own. Emily hides her face in Jason's chest. The room grows darker, as if a shadow is spreading. A low, almost human-like moan echoes from the corridor. I want to leave. I want to go home, Emily crying softly. Jason slowly stands, trying to look brave. He grabs a candle from a dresser and lights it. The flame flickers violently, then steadies. He steps into the hallway. The floorboards groan under his weight. Cold wind brushes past him. He shines the candle down the hall. A small, pale hand suddenly reaches out from under the staircase, grabbing at him. Jason stumbles back, screaming. Jason! Emily screaming. The hand disappears as quickly as it appeared. Silence falls. But now, faint whispers are all around them, echoing from the walls and ceiling. Whispers overlapping. Leave. Now. Go. The next morning, the rain has stopped, leaving a damp, foggy landscape outside. Jason and Emily are examining the house by daylight, the horrors of the night before fresh in their minds. They find a small library, dusty and full of cobwebs. Emily opens a large book, flipping through pages of old newspaper clippings. Jason, look at this. Clippings show a series of mysterious deaths and disappearances in the mansion, all involving children. One article catches their attention. A woman named Madeline Thorne was accused of witchcraft and killed on the property in the 1800s. A sudden loud bang upstairs makes them both jump. A chair slides across the floor on its own. The air grows icy again. Jason grabs Emily's hand. We need help. Someone who understands this. Jason finds an old working landline in the study room. He dials frantically. The line clicks. Then a calm, confident voice answers. This is Dr. Marcus Vale. How may I help you? My name is Jason Harper. We moved into a mansion in Willow Creek. Something's wrong. There's a spirit here. It attacked us last night. Take a deep breath. Describe the events from the beginning. Jason recounts everything. The whispers, the shadows, the hand under the stairs, the dragging sounds, and the chilling presence. Emily adds the newspaper clippings about Madeline Thorne. Jason hangs up, glancing at Emily, both knowing that tonight will be even worse than before. The rain has returned, light at first, then heavier. Fog swirls across the lawn. Jason and Emily stand at the edge of the driveway, nervously awaiting Dr. Marcus Vale and his team. A sleek black SUV appears through the mist. 3 figures step out. Dr. Marcus Vale, a calm, experienced paranormal investigator. Sister Helena, a medium with deep spiritual insight. And Liam, a tech specialist with a knack for detecting anomalies. Are you ready? Once we enter, there's no turning back until we've dealt with her. I don't know if I can. Emily, trembling. They all enter the mansion. The doors creak ominously, echoing through the dark hallways. The team sets up equipment, EVP recorders, EMF detectors, cameras, and candles. Dr. Vale explains the plan. Madeline Thorne is strong. She feeds off fear. She reacts to sudden movements, loud sounds, and non-vegetarian food. Her anger stems from betrayal and her violent death. Tonight, we'll attempt to communicate, then bind her spirit. Jason and Emily sit in the corner, holding each other. A faint whisper floats through the room, too soft to catch clearly. A sudden slamming sound upstairs causes Liam to drop his camera. Dr. Vale moves toward the staircase. He ascends, candle in hand. The shadows seem to stretch along the walls, forming twisted shapes. A chilling, high-pitched laugh echoes down the staircase. Dr. Vale carefully approaches a closed door at the end of the hallway. The temperature drops sharply. His breath becomes visible. Madeline Thorne, we are here to help you move on. The door slams open violently on its own. A shadowy figure appears. A pale woman in a tattered dress, her eyes black voids. Long black hair obscures most of her face. She floats a few inches above the floor, moving unnaturally. Madeline Thorne, your anger belongs to the past. You will not harm them. The ghost screams, a high-pitched wail that shakes the walls. Furniture slides across the floor. Candles extinguish themselves one by one. Liam shouts, trying to record everything. Sister Helena steps forward, holding a small pendant glowing faintly. By the light of the old, by the power of the unseen, I call you to listen. The ghost pauses, tilts her head. A whisper emerges, almost human. Why did they betray me? Ghost whispering. Suddenly, a loud crash is heard from downstairs. Jason and Emily run toward the sound. They see furniture thrown across the room. A shadow moves across the ceiling, then lands in front of them. It's Madeline Thorne. Emily screaming. The ghost lunges at Jason. He is thrown across the room. Emily tries to grab him, but the ghost grabs her too. Both are lifted off the ground by an invisible force. Dr. Vale runs to the center of the room, holding a small silver cross and chanting an incantation. The ghost lets out a chilling scream. "Leave or die," ghost screaming. Jason manages to grab a piece of broken furniture, swinging it at the ghost. It passes through her like smoke, but slows her down. Dr. Val's shouting grows louder. Sister Helena joins in, the pendant glowing brighter. The ghost starts to dissipate slowly, her wail fading. The air warms. The objects stop moving. Jason and Emily collapse to the floor, exhausted but alive. Dr. Vale's serious to Emily and Jason. "This is only the beginning. Spirits like Madeline Thorne, they are powerful. But tonight, she has been weakened." The camera lingers on the shadowy corners of the room, hinting that she may not be gone entirely. Jason and Emily sit as Sister Helena performs a vision ritual. Candles circle them. Incense smoke curls around their faces. Suddenly, the room shifts. The walls seem to bleed. Her fury is born of betrayal, starvation, and murder. "They left me. They left me," ghost whispering. Objects fly. Lights flicker, shadows dart across hallways. Jason and Emily are trapped in a room, terrified. "She's feeding off your fear. Stay calm," Dr. Vale shouting. Jason sees ghostly children in the corner, echoes of Madeline's lost family. One reaches toward him, whispering, "Join us." He panics. But Sister Helena intervenes with her pendant, driving the spirits back. Dr. Vale and Sister Helena lure Madeline into the attic. Candles, protective symbols, and chanting surround her. "You can't take me," ghost screaming. Emily, summoned by Sister Helena, repeats her mother's name to calm Madeline, connecting to the part of her soul still human. "Madeline, it's time to rest. You don't have to hurt anymore." The ghost shrieks, convulses, then suddenly falls silent, hovering briefly before dissipating into mist. The attic is still. The storm outside breaks into light rain. The mansion is quiet. Broken furniture remains, but the oppressive darkness is gone. Jason and Emily sit, exhausted but alive. It's over. She's gone. For now. Spirits like her leave traces. Respect the house. Don't return alone. Sister Helena. Madeline Thorne's story is a warning. Not all spirits want revenge. Some just want closure. The team leaves, the mansion looming quietly in the early morning fog. The camera lingers on a corner of the attic. Faint black smoke curls, hinting she may not be completely gone. Jason and Emily walk away, holding hands. Birds chirp. Life seems to return to normal, but a faint wind carries a whisper. "I'll be waiting," ghost whispering. Cut to black. The credits roll, leaving a lingering sense of unease. Emma has just taken a job as a caretaker at an old hotel in the suburbs. which used to be a famous destination but is now almost abandoned. The hotel was built over 100 years ago with long corridors and old rooms, and according to rumors, many people have mysteriously disappeared in this building. Emma felt both excited and nervous when entering this place, but she still decided to take the job because of the high salary and the challenge she wanted. From the very beginning, Emma noticed something unusual about room number 7, a room that was always closed and empty. The wooden door was rough, as if it had been eroded by time and abandonment, and inside the room there was an old, tall mirror. The first time Emma saw it, the image of the hallway in the mirror was distorted, completely different from reality. There were moments when she looked. It seemed like there was a shadowy figure standing behind her in the mirror, but when she turned around, there was no one. Curiosity and anxiety gradually turned into a feeling of unease that lasted all day. Over many nights of work, Emma began to see signs of the supernatural. The hallways and other rooms often appeared shadowy, empty but still moving in the mirror. Small objects in room 7 seemed to move when she wasn't looking. One night, she decided to step into room 7 to observe the mirror more closely. As she approached, the image in the mirror no longer reflected her exactly, but distorted into a distorted copy. Eyes dark, mouth tightly closed, as if wanting to say something. For some unknown reason, Emma was drawn to the mirror. Suddenly, she fell into a world of reflections of the hotel. The hallway seemed endless. The doors stretched on forever, and in each room were trapped souls, people who had disappeared in the hotel, eyes blank, faces distorted by time. Emma quickly realized that the mirror didn't just reflect images, but also devoured the souls of anyone too curious.
But it's not me.
In the mirrored world, everything seemed alive. The walls shook, the floors warped, the hallways stretched out endlessly. Emma saw trapped souls repeating the actions they did before they disappeared, like picking up objects, opening doors, then standing still, staring at the mirror, waiting for someone to enter. She felt a strong pull from the mirror, trying to pull her deeper. Emma tried to find a way out. She ran through the warped hallways, dodging shadows, passing through rooms filled with artifacts where the missing had lived. For a moment, she was touched by a spirit. A cold feeling spread through her body, but luckily, she escaped by clinging to the edge of the mirror. She realized that the mirror was the only door back to the real world. After hours lost in the mirror world, Emma finally escaped, returning to room 7. The room was intact, quiet as if nothing had happened, but when she looked in the mirror, her own image in the mirror still existed, faint, as if standing behind and winking in warning. The mirror still held a part of the world, reflected, and still waiting for the next person. Emma survived, but since then, she did not dare to go near room 7 again. Every time she walked through the hallway, she felt the shadowy eyes watching her. The feeling of being trapped, being stalked, and the spirits in the mirror haunted her mind. Emma realized that this hotel and the mirror in room 7 would always exist as a time trap where any curiosity would be swallowed if they dared to set foot. In the following nights, no matter how hard she tried to sleep, the distorted image of herself in the mirror would always appear in her mind, keeping Emma awake, reminding her that the door to that terrifying world was never completely closed. She knew she was lucky to escape the first time, but the hotel still held its creepy mysteries, waiting for the next curious person to swallow their soul into the world of reflection. It was already 10 o'clock at night. Nurse Mira was making her rounds in the old psychiatric hospital. This was her first night shift in this eerie building. While walking down the dimly lit corridor, she reached room number 13. Mira slowly placed her hand on the rusty doorknob. Inside lay a 22-year-old woman. A pale but strikingly beautiful girl sat on the bed, facing the cracked wall. Her lips moved slowly, whispering words no one could understand. The strange stillness inside the room made Mira's chest tighten. Her legs hesitated at the threshold, as if something unseen was pulling her back. She had heard stories of unusual patients here, some violent, some completely lost in their own worlds. But this was different. It was her first night here. The ticking of the old wall clock and the sound of the wind scraping against the window frames made the corridor feel even colder. Mira gripped her flashlight, wondering if she should step in. Gathering a bit of courage, Mira finally pushed the door open wider. The moment she stepped inside, the girl suddenly let out a chilling laugh and began twisting her body in unnatural ways. She was still facing the wall, but her neck turned all the way around to look at Mira. Cold sweat dripped from Mira's forehead. Her hands trembled as she backed away. Slamming the door shut, she ran down the corridor to the reception, calling for another nurse. Nurse Lena was at the desk, speaking on the phone. Yes, madam. Don't worry. She's safe. We're taking good care of her, Lena assured someone before hanging up. Seeing Mira's pale face, Lena frowned. What happened, Mira? Why do you look so terrified? Mira stammered and recounted everything she had just seen. Lena nodded slowly. Oh, room number 13. That's Aisha. Her mother calls every night, sometimes every few minutes, to ask about her. They admitted her here 2 months ago and never came back. Mira's curiosity burned through her fear. What happened to her? How did she end up like this? Lena sighed and began to explain. Aisha was 22, a top student in her final year of architecture. Everyone admired her beauty and intelligence. But she lived in a dream world of her own making. She believed she would meet a mysterious artist, her soulmate, and rejected every suitor her parents brought home. She wrote about him in her journal every night, filling page with fantasies. Her parents thought it was harmless. Lena continued. One night, Aisha left her journal at the university library. A young man named Arav, one of her new classmates, found it and took it. He read every page, learning all her secrets and fantasies. The next day, he came to class wearing exactly the clothes she had described for her dream man. Aisha was drawn to him instantly. She forgot about the missing journal, believing she had finally met the man. Their relationship turned intense, even obsessive. Arav isolated her from her friends, especially from Rohan, her best friend who had loved her in silence. He began writing her name in blood, sending letters smeared with it, whispering strange things about destiny. Aisha became frightened, but she couldn't escape. One evening, when she visited Arav's apartment, she found her missing journal there, along with photos of several women. As she stared in shock, a middle-aged man entered the room. Don't be afraid. I'm Prakash, Arav's uncle. He's been unwell since his parents died. He collects things he finds beautiful. People, objects, anything. He doesn't understand emotions. If something he treasures breaks or disappoints him, he destroys it. Aisha is shocked to hear that he's battling illness. She goes over and asks, "What did you say, mentally ill?" Arav's uncle says yes. Aisha's heart stopped when she saw one of the photos, her own face pinned on the wall among other girls. The truth hit her. She ran out, shaking, and locked herself in her room for days, ignoring Arev's endless calls. Hearing this, Aisha was completely shaken to the core. Showing the photos lying in the drawer to her uncle, she asks, "Whose photos are these?" Uncle says, "These are pictures of Arev's first girlfriend. I've met all of them. I've only met her once. Every time I'd see a new girl with him. I don't know what happened to her. I never asked his anything because the doctor had told me not to talk to Arev about anything that might anger him. Otherwise, he might do anything in a fit of rage." Aisha was looking at those photos. Although all of them had one thing in common. All the girls in those pictures were extremely beautiful. There was another photo on that door. Picked up the photo with her trembling hands and began to look at it. Aisha's eyes widened in surprise at the sight of that photo. The photo wasn't anyone else's, but it was her own. Seeing her photo on that door, Aisha felt goosebumps all over her body. Slowly, Aisha began to understand everything. Aisha couldn't bear it anymore. She ran home and closed the door of her room and sat in a corner. She wanted to scream loudly, but no sound came from her mouth. I couldn't get out. She was just standing there when her phone started ringing. It was Arav calling. 101 rings. Even after Aisha didn't pick up the phone, she no longer had the courage to talk to him. Many days passed. Aisha didn't go to college. She didn't meet anyone, nor did she talk to anyone. She just closed the door to her room. She sat alone, staring at her diary. Today, for the first time, she started hating her diary. A week later, the newspaper carried a grim headline. "Young man jumps from building after girl rejects him." Arav's photograph stared back at her from the front page. From that day on, Aisha stopped speaking. She sat in her room for hours, whispering to the walls, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying. Mira shivered as Lena's story ended. The flickering hospital lights dimmed and then went out completely. The corridor fell into darkness. Mira fumbled for her phone. "Lena, are you here?" she whispered. But there was no answer. On the desk lay a hastily scribbled note. "Emergency call. Had to leave. Back in an hour." Mira's heart thudded in her chest. She turned slowly and saw a shadow moving in the corner of the corridor. A tall figure stepped out, smiling crookedly, his eyes glinting like cold steel. "You're beautiful too," he whispered. "Beautiful things belong only to me." He began to laugh, low at first, then louder and louder, echoing down the hallway. Mira froze where she stood. There was a huge difference between the world of dreams and the world of reality. Sometimes that difference can kill. I never thought I'd dig through Craigslist for work. Not because I was too good for it, but because Craigslist had a smell to it. Like rot under floorboards. Scams, setups, people lured into places they never walked out of. But hunger strips away pride. It was 4 weeks after I got laid off from my receptionist job at a veterinary clinic. They said, budget cuts. I'd been living alone in a crumbling studio on the south end of Glendale, scraping by with leftovers and counting change. Rent was coming fast, and my bank account felt like a noose. When the panic got bad enough, I texted my friend, Ria. She always knew side hustles, flipping furniture, dog sitting, stuff under the table. She told me she'd babysat through Craigslist before. Check everything, she warned. Sometimes those ads aren't for kids. Sometimes it's bait. I'd babysat back in school
She
and
told me
thought
she'd
I could
babysat through
handle it.
Craigslist before.
Kids, cartoons, bedtime. How hard could it be? Most of the postings felt wrong. Broken sentences, bad grammar, too much money for too little work. Then I found one that looked clean. Need sitter this Saturday. 2 girls, 5 and 8, 6 p.m. to midnight. We're easygoing. $140 cash. Message for details. Thanks, Dana K. It was tidy, casual, safe. Dana messaged back quick, gave me the address, and said her husband would be home, but leaving soon. She sounded normal, even kind. A smiley face at the end of her note. I checked the address, 71 Willow Bend, a dead-end street tucked near the old rail yard. Run down, but not abandoned. I sent Rhea the details, just in case. Text me when you're in, she said. And if the vibe's wrong, walk out. Don't explain, don't apologize. The night came cold and windy. I pulled up at 5:50. The house was a squat brick thing, windows black, paint peeling from the shutters. A porch swing creaked in the wind. The light above the door flickered like it was dying. Something in me hesitated, but I knocked. It opened after a long silence. A man stood there, early 60s, tall and skeletal. His skin was pale, stretched too tight, eyes sunk into dark hollows. His clothes hung loose, jeans spattered with something dark, a shirt with holes at the collar. He smiled, but it never reached his eyes. You the sitter? His voice was dry, like dust in a throat. Yeah, Dana said to be here at 6. He muttered, rubbing his jaw. She just ran out with the girls. Should be back soon. Come on in. I hesitated, but stepped inside. The smell hit me first. Metallic, sour, mixed with bleach. The living room was stripped bare, just a stained couch and old newspapers stacked high. No toys. No shoes by the door. Ha! No sign of kids ever living here. He shut the door with a click that sounded louder than it should have. You can wait in the den, he said, pointing down a shadowed hallway. I sat on the couch instead, forcing a smile. My phone buzzed. Rhea. You good? I typed back strange. No kids here yet. Husband only. The man paced the hall, muttering to himself. Every few minutes he peeked in at me, eyes darting, lips moving like he was rehearsing lines. She should be back by now, he said more than once. At 6:20, I stood. My skin was crawling. Maybe I'll just reschedule, I said lightly. He stiffened. His voice cracked into something sharper. No, she's here. She's downstairs. He gestured toward a door in the kitchen, half hidden behind a curtain. The handle was rusted, paint chipped. She takes the girls down there sometimes. Games, crafts, go on. She's waiting. The house had gone too quiet. I walked to the door, heart slamming, and opened it. A breath of air rolled up from the dark below, damp earth, rot and copper. My stomach turned. Go on, he said again. His smile stretched too wide now, gums raw and teeth stained red. I froze. Behind me, the floor creaked. Something moved down in the dark, heavy, dragging, wet. A low moan echoed up, followed by a sound like claws scratching wood. I stepped back fast. Actually, my ride's here. Sorry. I need to. The front door was locked. My fingers slipped on the bolt as he whispered behind me. You haven't even seen them yet. The sound from the basement grew louder. Not children. Not human. The stench of blood thickened in the air. The lock finally gave. I flung the door open and ran, his laughter chasing me out onto the porch. I didn't look back until I was in my car. He stood in the doorway, smiling with his ruined mouth, while something thrashed in the dark behind him. I drove until my lungs burned, parked in a gas station lot, called Rhea, sobbing. She told me to call the cops. I did. Gave the report, gave the address. They said I'd check. 2 weeks later, I got a text from an unknown number. Hi there. Saw your babysitting profile. 2 kids, easy night. $140 cash. Let us know if you're free. Dana K. Same words. Same bait. Different number. I blocked it. More messages came. New numbers each time. Now, when I scroll job boards, I still see them. Same phrasing, same pay, different names. And I wonder how many others went inside, how many went down the basement stairs, and how many never came back. Mira had always loved him. Kian's song, the rising star of the K-pop world. His voice was melodic, smooth, and rich. His smile, as if crafted by the gods themselves, lit up every stage he graced. Mira had been a fan since his debut. His every movement, every note he sang, left an indelible mark on her heart. She wasn't just another fan in the crowd. No, she believed she was different. She was special. She was the one who truly understood him. She collected everything Kian had ever touched: albums, posters, concert tickets. Her apartment was a shrine, a curated collection of his career, from his earliest days as a trainee to his present success. But the thing that had caught her most was his gaze. When Kian performed, his eyes would lock with hers, and in that brief moment, it was as if time stopped. She imagined that in those fleeting seconds, he could feel her presence. Maybe not in the way she felt it, but it didn't matter. What mattered was that he noticed her. The fans in the crowd screamed, shouted, waved light sticks. But Kian, when his gaze fell upon her, she was certain that it lingered a moment longer than necessary. It was as if there was something more. She wasn't just part of the crowd. She mattered to him. It was a cold Friday evening when she saw the tweet. Kian's agency had announced that they were holding a small exclusive fan meeting for a select group of fans. To win an invitation, you had to engage in the company's social media contest, a raffle that would select only the most dedicated fans. Mira's heart leaped in her chest. This was her chance, her moment. She stayed up all night, entering every possible form of the contest, tagging Kian's official fan pages, reposting, commenting, and sharing every possible post related to the contest. Sleep-deprived and dizzy, she finally received the notification. She was one of the lucky winners. She would meet Kian. Her hands shook with excitement as she reread the email. The details were vague: just a time, a location in Seoul, and a note about special instructions. It didn't matter. She would meet him, face to face. The day arrived faster than she could prepare for it. Mira spent hours perfecting her outfit, styling her hair, and carefully choosing the gift she would give him, a small, handcrafted music box she had spent weeks designing. She wanted to give him something personal, something that said, "I understand you." The fan meeting was held in a nondescript building, away from the bustling crowds. Mira arrived early, her heart pounding in her chest as she waited for the doors to open. Fans trickled in, all of them talking excitedly. But Mira stayed quiet, her eyes focused on the entrance, waiting for Kian to appear. When he finally stepped into the room, everything else faded away. He was even more beautiful in person. His presence was magnetic, his smile brighter than she had ever imagined. He walked down the aisle between the rows of fans, his eyes scanning the room, stopping briefly as he looked into Mira's eyes. It was brief, a passing moment, but for Mira, it felt like an eternity. The fan meeting was everything Mira had imagined. Kian answered questions, joked with the crowd, and took pictures with fans. Each time he smiled or laughed, Mira felt a part of her heart soften. This was it. This was the moment she had been waiting for. When it was her turn to meet him, she stepped forward, trembling with anticipation. The distance between them felt like an eternity. As Kian extended his hand, she placed the music box in his palm. He looked at it with a small frown, then up at her with a raised eyebrow. "You made this?" he asked, his voice smooth and warm. Mira nodded, her breath catching. "It's for you," she said softly. I thought you might like it." He smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Thank you. I'll keep it safe." Her heart raced as he took a photo with her. He stood too close, his hand resting on her shoulder. The photo was taken, but for Mira, time seemed to stand still. For a brief moment, she thought she saw something in his eyes. A flicker. Recognition. As if Kian was seeing her for the first time. It was nothing, she told herself. He was just being kind. But as she left the room, a strange unease began to coil in her stomach. The fan meeting ended, but Mira's obsession with Kian only deepened. That night, she replayed the moments in her mind, his smile, his touch. There was no doubt in her mind now. She was different from the others. He had noticed her, and even though it was brief, he had remembered her. Days passed and Mira found herself obsessively searching for anything related to Kian, videos, photos, fan interactions. But then one night she found something odd. It was a simple message on his fan page. "Thank you for the beautiful gift. I've been thinking about it all day." It was from Kian, but the message wasn't meant for the public. It was a private post, one directed solely at her. Her fingers shook as she typed a response. "I'm glad you liked it. I made it with you in mind." She hit send, not expecting a reply. But to her surprise, Kian responded almost immediately. "Come to the studio tomorrow night. I'll be waiting." Her heart raced. This couldn't be real. The next day, Mira followed the instructions in the message. She arrived at the studio just as nightfall set in, her breath visible in the cold air. The lights in the building were dim, and there were no signs of anyone else. Mira hesitated for a moment, but then pressed the doorbell. The door opened almost immediately. There, standing in the dim light, was Kian. His eyes were cold, but they lingered on her, unblinking. "You came," he said, voice soft but unmistakably sharp. "Good. Come inside." Mira's heart pounded as she stepped into the darkened hallway of the studio. The air was thick with the scent of incense and old leather. Kian led her down a narrow corridor, past empty rooms filled with sound equipment and recording instruments. "Do you like it here?" he asked, his voice distant, like he was testing her. "I do," Mira said, struggling to steady her voice. "I love your music. I feel connected to you, more than I can explain." He nodded slowly, his gaze never leaving her face. They reached a small, dimly lit room. A large window on one wall overlooked the city below. The entire space was eerily quiet, except for the soft hum of machines in the background. "Sit," Kian said, gesturing to a chair at the center of the room. Mira obeyed, her body trembling. Kian closed the door behind them. "You know, Mira," he began, his voice suddenly colder, more deliberate. "You're not like the other fans. They scream, they shout, they beg for my attention. But you've always been different. You've watched, haven't you? From the shadows, in silence, in silence." Mira's throat tightened. I don't understand." His eyes glinted with something dark. "You gave me the gift, the music box. It's beautiful. But you've been watching me, not just through the camera, but through everything." Mira recoiled, her hands shaking. She had been too careful, too hidden. How did he know? Kian stepped closer, his voice soft but filled with a chilling certainty. "You think I didn't notice? That I didn't feel your gaze on me all this time? You've been the one who watches me from the shadows. But now I want to see you, Mira, all of you." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small black device. A camera. Mira's heart stopped. "You wanted to be close to me, didn't you? You wanted to know me. But now I'm going to show you something." He pressed a button, and the room's lights flickered. Images appeared on the screen, one after another. Video clips of Mira from her apartment, watching him through the camera. The recordings were crystal clear. Her body froze in horror. He had been watching her. "You've been following me for so long," Kian whispered, his voice almost a lullaby. "But now you're mine. You belong to me, just like all the others." The room felt suffocating. The images on the screen were of her quiet moments, her obsessive gaze. And then the message became clear. He was not the one being watched. He had always been the watcher. Suddenly, Mira realized with a sickening twist in her stomach that she had become part of his collection, his private world. The door slammed shut behind her. Kian stepped forward, his eyes glinting with malice. "You wanted me. You watched me. Now you're here, and you will never leave." Mira's pulse pounded as she backed into the corner of the room. "What do you mean? You can't do this to me." Kian smiled darkly. "The game's over, Mira. You're not the first one to fall into my trap, but you're the one who watched the longest." He stepped closer, and this time, his voice dropped to a whisper. "And now, you will always be here.